streaming on Twitch here, I've been asked to demonstrate a few things, specifically blend shapes and exporting blend shapes. So let's do that first. Well, actually, before we go on to the blend shapes, I want to bring in the retopology from Maya and project this detail into the retopology. So first step, pick a primitive like a star or cylinder, or really any primitive. Click import, and import in your retopo. In this case, I have it as an FBX file. So you should be able to just import the FBX here. Don't worry about cameras or any of this other stuff, just click OK. And there it is. Now, one weird thing you can kind of see right off the bat is my texture appears to be weirdly flipped. But this is not unusual, by the way. You may get around this problem by using the actual FBX import export plugin. So I'll try this one more time, but this time I'll use the plugin. And that, oh, whoa, it's still flipped. Weird. Shouldn't be flipped when I do that. But I can go to texture map here, turn texture off, because it's really the polypaint data that's coming in. Has 0 subdivision levels, so I'll turn this up. But the important part is to import this in. So then we'll go to my scan cleanup, which is where I want to get the detail from. I'll click import or insert or append, right? Append or insert, retopo Maya. It should fit right on top at this point. It should. And now put the retopo on top, like this, and we can then project. Now, the scan cleanup, by the way, should also have color data on it, I hope. It's supposed to. I feel like I need to go to an earlier file, but if the UVs don't match, that's definitely a problem. But let's click texture on. Oh, cool, it is working. So how do I get this texture converted into a polypaint? That's actually quite easy. So let me do that right now first. So this texture looks pretty good. Please don't mind the eyes being off. But first, take the texture, which is now visible, and I want to convert this into polypaint data by going to my polypaint menu, and I click polypaint from texture. I want to do this at the highest polygon count possible. So where am I right now? I'm at 7 million. That's plenty. So I should be able to click polypaint from texture. It's wanting me to turn on mRGB draw, turn off Z add, then click again polypaint from texture. So now I can turn the texture off, right? And it's just polypaint data. Now from here, this is my scan cleanup layer. Now I take the retopo from Maya. And with the retopo from Maya here, I can start to project both the detail and the color. So under project, I have geometry and I have color. And in this case, I actually want both to be on in this case. So I'll then click the project button, project all, and it should begin to project both the color and the detail from the subtool or scan cleanup underneath that. Control D, or D if you've already got the subdivision, click project. And so basically you want to divide up and click the project button. Every time you do this, you should be able to get more data both in geometry and color. So you're just going to divide up as many times as you need to get all the detail from the scan cleanup. And this might take several divisions. So watch your poly count. I'm at only 312,000, so it's fine. I'll click project. You want to get up there like past 1 million, past 4 million. So it's safe. It's a safe bet if you're past 4 million vertices that you're projecting all of the geometry and color that you need. So we want to do this a few times, right? So where am I now? I'm at still at 312,000. So Control D. Now I'm at 1.2 million. I might stop there for the purposes of this demo, just to make things fast. But I would please encourage you to go up past 5 million to really get all the color data. You should. You really should, and the geometry for that matter. But I'm trying to keep things fast. So I would normally divide up one more time, project the detail one more time. But you can see even at 1 million, it's starting to take a little while. Right now I'll check my Twitch while this is working. I'll check my Twitch chat, and I'm hoping you guys are here. I think you are. We can hear you, by the way. We can hear you. Oh, good. Okay, that's what I want. Okay, OBS is acting really weird right now, but yeah, the mic levels are going. The mic levels are working. So, God, finish your projection. Don't crash. Come on, come on, come on. Well, this is also why I wanted to do this at 1 million, because it's less likelihood of it crashing, especially if I've got both Maya and Keyshot running simultaneously. Come on, finish the projection. It's only 1 million. Don't have time for this to take so long. There it goes. Cool. Like I said, for you guys, please go past 1.2 million. Please go up to like 5 million or above. I just don't want it to crash because, again, I have Maya and Keyshot running simultaneously with Zbrush. But we should get basically all of the color data now. So turn off the scan cleanup. You can see it looks like I've got all the color data. But if I turn colorize off, this is under poly paint, turn colorize off, then you can see I actually have all the geometric detail as well. So this is really good news. Colorize on, got the nice poly paint data. Colorize off, this is basically what I'm going to be getting in my normal map. So, well, how do I do this? I make sure that I have UVs on this. So first step is to make sure you have UVs. Go down to the lowest subdivision level to make your UVs. So hit Shift D on the retopo. So you should, hello, what's going on? Oh, there we go. So you should be able to hit Shift D, Shift D, Shift D, Shift D, till now I'm at the lowest level. Now when you make your UVs, you're going to do it like this. You're going to clear your poly group by hitting Control W. Use your mask lasso to go around the face, like so. I do this with perspective off. Then I hit Control W. This will allow me to create UVs from the face shell. So I go to Z plugin, I go to UV master, I click the poly group button, and then I click unwrap. And that should make the face a separate UV shell. From here, if I want the color data, I go back up to the highest level, so I click the D button until I'm at the highest level. I turn wireframe off by hitting Shift F. And at the highest level, now I turn on my poly paint down here under poly paint menu, make sure colorize is on, and then now to bake this poly paint data into a texture, I go to texture map, I click new from poly paint. And you can see now the poly paint data has actually been baked into my texture. All right, so texture is on, and it's from the poly paint. So if I want a normal map, weirdly, I don't know why, but if I want a normal map, then I want to go the opposite direction. So to get all of this skin detail in my normal map, I hit Shift D, go back down to the lowest level. Then I'm going to animate, export, rig, whatever. And then under normal map, click create normal map. And then we can kind of hover over it. And you can see the face is still in the bottom right corner. So that's cool. So I turn on the color texture, right? I turn on the normal map. And I'm down here at the low level. So from here, I want to export. If I'm exporting to Keyshot, and this is kind of weird, but just follow me here. If I export to Keyshot, I actually want to use the official FBX export import plugin. This will export to Keyshot pretty well and will connect the maps too. Make sure that embed maps is on. Very important. And make sure only the visible the visible subtools that you want to export. So you might want to turn the teeth on if you've put some teeth in there, or in my case, I think I'm going to turn the corneas on because boy, he looks pretty weird with no corneas. Or you know what? Let's well, yeah, probably the corneas are fine. I was going to say I could turn on the actual eyeballs. This might be better, but I don't know how dense these eyeballs are. I don't know if I've and pupils. So I don't know actually in this case if I have low subdivisions or not. So let's just make life easier and just use the corneas. I know it's a little creepy. I apologize, but yeah, let's stick with the corneas. So there's one cornea, there's another cornea, and there again are my teeth. I don't know what the wireframe on this is, but I'll hit the Shift D button to go down. Or if I need to rebuild my subdivisions, I should hopefully be able to do that with reconstruct subdivision. So, you know, get these down to a relatively low level. This is what? This is 2000. So that's pretty low. So get this guy shifty. If it's not there, I can always click reconstruct subdivision. So reconstruct subdivision until they match. So maybe go down one more, reconstruct subdivision. And that now my corneas are down here at like 8,000, or what's this guy? This guy's at 2,000. So actually I could probably go down one more time. So reconstruct subdivision. Now they match in density. So teeth on, corneas on, retopologize on, like that. And now this is kind of weird, but check it out. We do want both the texture map to be on, and if it's not, well, I got to select the head. There it is. So select the head, texture map is on, good. And then normal map is also on. So as long as they're both selected here, and you can see they're obviously both selected, they're on, then if we're sending this out to Keyshot, we use the Z plugin called FBX Export with embed maps on. I click export, and I'm going to use Josh Retopo 5 in this case. Oh, we'll go with 6, sure, why not? So we'll go with Josh Retopo 6. This is going to make a folder called an FBM folder. The FBM folder will have the normal map as well as the color map. So I export that, and this is again what's going to Keyshot. Oh, don't worry about all the other subtools kind of popping up momentarily. It's just sort of like checking them to make sure that you're only exporting the visible subtools. Now, if we're going to do this in Keyshot, let's see. We should be able to make this work in Keyshot, I hope. So now we click import in Keyshot. We want to use Josh Retopo 6. And it's supposed to connect your maps for you automatically. If some reason it doesn't, it's because of this checkbox, I'm pretty sure. So you don't want to assign a material from the library, so make sure this checkbox is off. Click import. It should connect your color map automatically. Yep, it totally did. So now I can right click here. I can say center and fit models. You know? I do have this sort of obnoxious ground plane on here. So go to environment, turn off your ground shadows. And now it's in Keyshot, it's ready to render. Of course, I don't have the fiber mesh here, so I would want to export that as a separate FBX for the eyebrows. And I'm also missing the other parts of the eyes. But from here, under environment, we can drag an environment that might look good. So hopefully you've downloaded maybe your own HDR file. Or, you know, you could use perhaps one here. Now, I've actually downloaded my own HDR file. So I'm going to use Cape Hill 2K. Drag this in. There's the lighting from the Cape Hill. I'm really wishing at this point that I that I had all my eye elements, because I can, you know what? Why not? Let's just do it. Make it part of the demo. So if we export the eyes separately, which we can totally do that, as long as you're exporting FBX, they should still pop in the right place. So let's turn off the visibility for the head and turn the eyes on here. I'll turn the corneas off because they're already in there, but I do want the pupils. turn the pupils on. And then as long as it's just these things that are visible, so I'll actually turn the head off too. So it's just the eyes. Then now we can export just the eyes. So export visible. We'll call this Josh 6 eyes because it's just the eyes. I already have the cornea, so that's no big deal. Now back here, as long as you're using FBX, it should be able. They should just kind of pop into place. And make sure they do. So eyes. Oh, it's still exporting them? Really? I think it's still in the process of exporting them. That's interesting. Yeah, it's still exporting them. So I think it's because the eye density is pretty high on these. I probably should have knocked down the divisions on the eyes before sending them out. So that's kind of a problem here. If the eye density is super crazy high, which I feel like it is, then that's kind of a mistake. You don't really want to send out FBX files that are in the millions of polygons. Even though Keyshot can technically handle it, you're really kind of pushing it a little bit by doing that. So it should not be something that you get in the habit of sending millions of polygons to Keyshot if you can avoid it. So that seems to have been like a slight error on my part that I didn't rebuild the geometry per se. You can also create normal maps from the eyes also, and create color maps from the eyes just like I did for the head. But boy, this has taken a while. So actually, while this is thinking, oh, I think it just finished actually. Yeah, it finished. Okay, so now this should pop back into place, I hope, in Keyshot. Here we go. File, import. These are for the eyes. Now, when you do this, oh, weird. I don't see the eyes here. Let's see. Check again. Huh. It's a little strange. I would have sworn. That's odd. Oh, well, I guess this is a good example of, we should just fix it. Make that work. So these are very dense. Oh boy, it's crashing. This is not a good time to crash at all. No, demo over. Oh my god. Okay, well, I'll just use what I have in Keyshot for right now anyway. So I want a background plate here to replace what's in the background. So over an environment, change the background from lighting environment to background plate. Make sure you have a background to correspond with this. You can have a background from HDRI Haven. So there's my background that corresponds. You can see the lighting works pretty well. Let's see if I can pan this a little bit so it's like, makes a little more sense. That doesn't look too bad. So there it is. Now I have a nice background that corresponds with my HDR lighting. I could rotate my HDR lighting if I wanted to here with this rotation. That would be something that's sort of optional if you wanted to do that, if you wanted to move the light around. The eye corneas, by the way, should have the basic glass material. So under glass, use basic, and then that should really go on the corneas. Now, because I don't have any eyes behind them, it's not really doing me any good. It actually looks even more creepy. But that's what you that's the material you'd want to use for your corneas. Again, not doing me any favors here, but that's what you'd want to use. Shift P will pause this. I'm hoping that ZBrush is totally crashed. Oh man. Boo. All right, well, I guess I will have to launch it again. Because we want to use the FBX import. So the other thing here is now getting our blend shapes into Maya. So that'll be the last thing I do here. I'll see if I can load my quick save and hope that it doesn't just crash on me. See what happens. I'm hoping that this will be stable once it launches. Okay, yeah, it looks like it worked actually, so that's good. Okay. So to make the Maya blend shapes, this is also going to be a plugin. Go to Z plugin. We do have here Maya blend shape plugin. Right? So this is where I'm going to make the smile and the frown and so on and so forth. So here we go. So now with Maya blend shapes, go to my layer drop down. You can see right now there are no layers, but I can make new layers over here. Please make them here and not here. This will not work. I mean, yeah, it'll make layers, but it won't work with the blend shapes. So don't use this button. Instead, click new layer. The first one is just going to be neutral, so you can name it neutral. That's if you just kind of want to get back to the neutral. Then we click another layer, another new layer. This guy's going to be smile. So again, you can name this smile. There we go. And now let's make the smile happen by going to the Move Topo brush. So what I do for a smile is, of course, you should be looking at a photo reference when you do this, but I'll hold down Alt to push the corner of the mouth back, and then pull the corner of the mouth to the side, and then pull the corner of the mouth to the side or back and up. So up from here. Whoop, not that much. But again, I don't have a photo reference. You really should. So Alt to push back, and then to the side, and then up a little bit. Not too much in this case, but you really should be looking at your photo reference. That's a little creepy, but there it is. Using the Move Topo brush will actually be able to let you lift the top lip up to reveal teeth, if you have them. Hopefully you do. And don't go nuts with this. Just like try to look at your reference. That's not the worst. It's pretty good. So there's my really kind of creepy smile, but there's the creepy smile. I think that's pretty good. Again, name this smile. If you've got that, let's click a new layer. When you click new layer, it should go back to the default, which it did. And now we'll make a frown. So same idea where you pull the mouth out, pull down Alt, push the mouth in. But in this case, he's gonna be frowning, so I'm gonna pull down. So push the mouth corner back, out, and down. So there's your frown. And if you want to, by the way, it's not really a bad idea also to pose the brows a little bit. So if make him a little bit angry at the same time. So there's the frown. And of course we name this frown. If you want to go back, by the way, and alter one that you've already created, so like if you'd like to go back to the smile, you can actually do that. Just click on the layer. After the fact, you should be able to go back, I think. Did you rename this? Yeah. Okay. I mean, you're supposed to be able to go back by selecting it. Weird. Maybe I have to slide this back down first. Okay, yeah. So now if I take the frown back to 0, select smile. If I'm back here with smile, I pull this to 1. 1 is like 100%. And then I can go back to like raising the eyebrow up. If you're going to change it after the fact, there's a little record button. So turn the record. What? Well, you're supposed to be able to turn the record button back on. I guess in this case, it's going to be a little pain, so I guess I'll just make another one. So new layer again. And I guess just make another smile. Sorry about that. But I want this, I'll make this smile 2. And smile 2 will have the brows raised. Although, you know what? Why don't we just make the brow raise just simply its own, a blend shape. So then this way I can control the brow raise and lower. So I'll just raise the brows this way. And again, you really should be looking at some photo reference, but there's my eyebrow raise. Name it eyebrow raise. Probably without a space, I think is a good idea. Use an underscore instead. So if you've got all those done and they work for you, then you should now, and you can always, by the way, test the slider. So, whoa, you can also push it beyond 1. So this is obviously up here at 5. It looks pretty silly. But as long as you can see that it's working, like 1, we can slide back. So 1 is 100%, and 0 is obviously off. So I got brows raise, frown, and smile. And if I'm happy with all of that, I can click Export Blend Shapes. Please make sure Maya is off, by the way. So I turn Maya off first because it's going to launch Maya for you. Wow, I only have 10 minutes for this, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. So then make sure Maya is off because the plugin will automatically launch it for you. So now, with Maya off, I click Export Blend Shapes. That's going to launch Maya and simultaneously send these blend shapes to Maya. It's really supposed to send whatever other subtools are visible, as you can see by this visible button. So you should also get the eyeballs and the teeth in this case. So there goes Maya launching. And there we go. See, it automatically pops up this blend shape window. And so we have success. Well, we won't really know until we test the sliders. So what we now do is we use, say, Control and Alt to zoom closer to the head. Right? Or you can select the head, of course, and hit the F button. That's another option. Just make sure you frame it up nicely. Okay, so how do we know if this is actually working? Well, we can test the sliders. I like hitting the 3 button, so I'll hit the 3 button. That way it's kind of smoothed a bit. And 4 in Maya is wireframe, 5 is shaded, and 6, there you go. 6 shows both the normal map and the color texture. And so from here, we can test these. So smile, if I pull this up, there's my smile. It's working pretty well, no problem. If I want to animate this, I can set keyframes. You don't necessarily have to animate it, but if you want to, you can. So let's try it, why not? So I'll click the key button. And you can also test these other ones like frown. There's my frown, works pretty well. So we know the frown works too. And then I have a slider for raising my eyebrows too. So we can just test all these, make sure they work. There's my eyebrow raise. Okay, cool. So then we'll key the eyebrow raise and we'll key the smile. I'll maybe go 24 frames into the future. This is 1 second for Maya. And then I'll raise the smile and I'll even raise the eyebrows. And I know it's kind of creepy, but there it is. So then click the key button for both. Now, if I want this to go back down, I can go forward to maybe 48, pull the sliders back down, click key again. And so now I've made this sort of animation cycle. Right? Now, at this point, we can change the range so that the range is, say, 1 to 48, like that. That way, if I hit play, then I'm going to see my animation, and it's just going to sort of cycle. I can see that it's working. So now, at this point, I can either make a play blast, which is easy enough, by right-clicking Play Blast. Go to the option box. Make sure the quality is at 100%, like that. Uh-oh. Yeah, okay. I just kind of lost my camera angle, but use your brackets to get back. So brackets is like undo, redo camera in Maya. So just remember brackets, useful to get back to your previous camera. Then this is going to render out an AVI file. I can click Browse, put it somewhere I know where I can find it, like my desktop. Call it facial animation.avi, and then click Apply. And now in this case, it's going to go ahead and make a play blast of this quick smile with the eyebrows raised. Now, because it's a little bit disconcerting with the color on here, you can also just disconnect the color if you'd like. I kind of like the normal map on there for the skin detail, but I do find it to be especially creepy with like no eyes, and then but yet the skin detail is on the head. But now there's my play blast, 48 frames, so it's not a huge amount, but there's my play blast. Oh, one last little thing. I don't want this grid to be in the play blast. I almost forgot. This grid looks kind of tacky in the play blast. So what do? Last little thing. What do? I want to go to Show and turn under Show, turn the grid off like that. And then I can make this play blast one more time. If you feel like the play blast thing is just like a little too difficult, then you can also use QuickTime to record, but I do feel like this is slightly better than using QuickTime. So I'll overwrite it one more time, make this play blast one more time, but now with the grid off. And there's the creepy smile with the eyebrow raise. If you want to know, by the way, how to turn off the color, I guess I can go over that really quick. But there's my quick smile that's now a play blast. So now, if I did want to disconnect the color, I could hit Control A to bring up the attributes, go to the shader, which in this case is Blinn, and if I wanted to like just have the normal map, which is going through bump and no color, I can right click on the word color, click break connection, and see now I have just the normal map. I could also, by the way, turn down my specular color to be black, so it's not shiny at all, but that's up to you. But definitely the normal map is still intact, as you can see, because there's skin detail. So that's basically it, and oh god, I'm pretty much out of time. So that's basically it for creating blend shapes, as well as setting up Keyshot for rendering. If you want to do something similar in Maya, we would go to the Arnold shelf. We would make a sky dome here. And then in my sky dome, I could go to color, click the option box, go to file, plug in my HDR, like so. There's my HDR. You can also plug the background plate into your camera. That's something else you could do if you wanted to. So under View, click Select Camera, and then under Image Plane, click Import Image and feed in the background. There it is. And that's going to be it. Now we just render. Oh, not the software renderer. Make sure that you're rendering with Arnold. So that's pretty important. Otherwise, you're going to get really weird results. But now I'm rendering in Arnold. Ideally with the background plate and the HDR for lighting, they should match. I am getting both my HDR and my background plate from HDRI Haven. You might want to kind of reconnect the color at this point. I kind of wish I had not lost the color, but if you click the option box and click File, and then actually point it to the FBM folder. So there should be an FBM folder. This is going to be wherever you exported. So I have like josh6.fbm, and there's my texture there. So that should reconnect the texture. So if you really want the texture back, you can do that. And render one more time. I don't know really why the material is so gold at this point. It shouldn't look so weirdly orange. Yikes, it still looks really weirdly orange. So Arnold has its own skin shader. We can go to rendering editor, hypershade, and we can give it a skin shader. This is going to be under Arnold shader. And it's going to be AI standard surface. And then in the AI standard surface, we have a preset for skin right here, replace. And this is my skin shader. We can then go to base color. And again, it's going to be in that FBM folder. This might give you like better results. So this is the texture first for color, you know. And then after you do that, turn up the weight of the color. Go to subsurface and turn down the subsurface weight. And now you're starting to see the texture come in. You might want to change the subsurface and radius color too, just so it's not quite as intense. There's the color in. Go to geometry, go to bump mapping. Click file. Make sure this is used as a tangent space normal. Then point it to your normal map. And so now we should be getting the normal map also. Put this on the head. So we'll select the head. We'll add the AI standard surface, which is now skin. And hopefully, this render will look a little bit nicer. But I think I'm out of time. But let's just try one last render because this really shiny stuff doesn't look very good. So maybe we can use the skin material to get a better option, or a better result, rather. And this will be the last render because I'm really out of time. Oh, yeah, actually that is time. When you're rendering HDR with the skin shader, you should get a much better result. It does look still very orange for some reason, but this also may be a function of the lighting. So you can adjust the intensity of the light or rotate the light, rotate the sky dome also. But unfortunately, I'm out of time. So by rotating the sky dome, he looks very yellow. But by rotating the sky dome and adjusting the intensity on the sky dome, you hopefully can adjust the color of the light also. So that's this here. Select the sky dome light. And then we've got this intensity here to play with. You might want to turn up your samples to 4, but we can definitely lower the intensity if you want less light from your sky dome. Or just select the sky dome actually and rotate it. And if you rotate the sky dome, E for rotate, you should be able to. Well, I'm out of time anyway. But you can rotate the sky dome, play with the intensity. I gotta stop, unfortunately. But if you have more questions, just say something.